The moment the Council's decree arrived, I watched the sky fracture. Not literally, though some claimed it rained fire that day. No, the fracture was in silence. In every alien embassy across the sector, in every orbiting station and distant colony, the message echoed, Earth is expelled, effective immediately. I remember thinking, they must have made a mistake, but the message was unmistakable. A collective judgment, delivered in cold, crystalline voice. And humanity? We didn't answer. We didn't protest. We didn't beg. We simply continued. That was only the beginning. I am Dr. Layla Hassan, a xenopsychologist stationed on the Titan station, far from Earth. I had spent years studying alien behavior, mapping the Council's strict protocols, and warning my colleagues of human unpredictability. Our defiance, our stubborn emotional logic, was something no AI or Council code could contain. Yet when the transmission hit, even I was unprepared for what came next. The Council's representatives, tall, faceless, and gleaming in silver exosuits, had convened in the grand atrium of Station Lysara. Their leader, called simply Vri, addressed us. Earth has been deemed a variable too dangerous for the collective order. His voice sounded like the grinding of glaciers. All privileges revoked. All treaties null. Your species is quarantined. A murmur swept through the assembly. Most species reacted immediately. Outrage, protest, panic. Every known protocol triggered, except in humans. Across communications channels, our delegates remained silent. My stomach turned. What do humans do when the universe throws away their membership like trash? What I saw next changed everything. Instead of arguing, Earth's ambassador, a woman named Mirachun, barely 30, stood and simply said, "Understood." Her voice was calm, almost bored. No trembling, no pleading, no threats. Then she turned, bowed, and left. That was humanity's message. Compliance not born of fear, but something else entirely. Something alien observers described later as terrifying. The Council's historians debated it for months. Was it pride, defiance, or some deep, unknowable strategy? But none could answer, because the humans didn't give them anything to analyze. Back on Titan Station, I watched the ripple effects. Trade routes involving Earth ceased immediately. Alien ships avoided our orbit. Earth became a ghost, yet humanity carried on. Cities glimmered. Industries thrived. Scientists pushed forward. And we did all of it quietly, without protest or complaint. But that was only the beginning. Weeks later, I received a private message from Mirachun herself. She asked me to join her on the orbital observation deck. I expected a diplomatic briefing. Instead, she showed me something I couldn't have imagined. A vast array of alien constructs surrounding Earth, all inactive, all monitoring. Entire Council fleets had already arrived, anticipating rebellion or retaliation. And yet, Earth did nothing. Nothing. How do they not strike? I whispered. Mira didn't answer immediately. She just looked at me with those unyielding human eyes. They don't know what we will do next, and they never will. A chill ran down my spine. We are unpredictable, yes, but could we be dangerous? A sudden alert flashed across the deck, an unknown object entering the solar system at relativistic speed. Council sensors identified it instantly, a probe from a species that had never dared approach Earth before. Its trajectory intersected with Mars, and then Earth. What I saw next changed everything. The probe didn't attack. It wasn't reconnaissance either. It was a message, a single crystalline data packet. The Council panicked. Every species demanded analysis. But when humans accessed the probe, they didn't scramble it. They didn't dissect it with terror. They listened. The data contained a simple statement. We've been waiting. We see the pattern. And then coordinates. That was a mid-story rehook, the turning point that left even Council veterans gasping. Humanity wasn't just silent. Humanity was calculating, waiting for something or someone. I begged Mira for answers. Are they allies? Enemies? Something worse. She shook her head. They're testing us, like all of them. But here's the difference. Humans don't react out of fear. They act out of necessity. Watch carefully. And we did. Over the next months, strange phenomena began. Council worlds experienced small, untraceable anomalies. Power grids failed. AI calculations became unstable. Entire fleets reported inexplicable events that couldn't be explained by physics or sabotage. Only Earth remained untouched. Humans had not fought, yet the cosmos began to notice. Something in the very fabric of interstellar order was bending around them. One evening, I confronted Mira. If humans don't protest, don't fight, what is their plan? She smiled faintly, almost pitying me. Plan? You misunderstand. The Council believe the only way to maintain order is through control. Humans do not fear control. That terrifies them more than rebellion ever could. They're proving it. That was only the beginning. Then came the message from Vri himself. A warning. He appeared via hollow projection in the Council chamber on Titan Station. Your species will be watched. Your silence is noted. The next step will be decisive. Humans didn't flinch. I wanted to, but watching Mira, I realized something fundamental. Earth's silence wasn't submission. It was preparation. Something we couldn't predict. Something we couldn't fight. And then it happened. The first true test. A Council fleet, armed with their most devastating weapons, approached Earth's orbit. They intended to force compliance. Humans didn't evacuate. They didn't mobilize. They waited. And then, without warning, the fleet simply stopped. Communications went silent. Sensors failed. Pilots described feeling an invisible pressure, as if the laws of physics themselves were bending around the planet. What I saw next changed everything. The fleet's flagship broadcast a final, terrified message. We cannot engage. The variables are unknown. The humans are not what we understood. And just like that, the Council fleets withdrew. Humanity hadn't fought. They hadn't negotiated. They hadn't even revealed their strength. Yet the universe had taken note. Earth was untouchable. I followed Mira back to the observation deck. Explain it, please. I need. She interrupted, looking at the stars. Do you see that? I squinted. Through Titan's viewports, the far reaches of space shimmered like a distorted mirror. Fleets from previously hostile species were holding their positions at the edges of the solar system. None dared enter. Humans hadn't made a single move. They had merely existed, and that existence had rewritten interstellar law. I swallowed hard. They're scared of what? Of unpredictability, of emotion, of humans. Her voice was quiet, almost reverent. They can calculate technology, strategy, probability, but not courage, not stubbornness, not the capacity to act without fear. They can't predict us. And that terrifies them more than any war ever could. We watched in silence as the last of the Council's warships disappeared into hyperspace. The solar system fell quiet again. Earth continued its orbit, unremarkable in appearance, yet monumental in consequence. That was only the beginning. Weeks later, I interviewed Mira for the official report. I asked her, what's next? She paused, looking at the blue planet below. Next, we prepare, not for war, not for diplomacy, for inevitability. We do not protest. We do not beg. We wait, and we act when the moment calls. The universe will learn, slowly, that some things cannot be controlled. I realized then that humanity had achieved something the Council could never grasp. We hadn't sought revenge, conquest, or glory. We had simply endured. We had refused to engage on terms that were not our own. And that endurance, that simple act of existing unbowed, had become the most terrifying weapon in the cosmos. I often think back to the day the decree arrived. The Council expected outrage. They expected chaos. Instead, they received silence. And in that silence, a truth emerged that no alien mind could contain. Humans cannot be dictated. They cannot be predicted. They cannot be contained. And the universe finally understood. When I asked Mira why humanity never protested, she said, simply, because we never needed to. The stars themselves seemed to lean closer to listen. And that was the end of the Council's dominion over Earth. The human race remained quiet, calm, resolute, waiting, watching. And in that waiting, the cosmos learned the hardest lesson it could ever face. Some myths are not myths at all. Some are humans, and humans always rise.